That is the institutional, that is the impact of someone being a representative who showcases personal leadership and stands within the context of institutional impact. So what would we consider to be the core pillars of a public brand? And here we are beginning to get into, good stuff. A leader's brand is built on a four-part framework. Like my sister said, it's been a rare privilege for me, and I'm really grateful to God. And I'm also grateful for the opportunity God has given me in life to have walked through some of the very best corporations you can imagine that still stand and, over centuries. Yeah, over 100 years. These are brands that have stayed the course. And not just giving me the privilege, to work there, but to manage and in most cases, superintend over those brands. And, like one of my elders, Obinake, would always tell me, he spoke into my heart and into my future so very early when I started Corporate Shepherds. And he said that God did not take me through that process of sitting in all of those global brands. Well, it was for a reason that I should watch that space. That was in way back, 1996, 1997. And I just kept asking myself questions from there. So when a leader's brand is built on this four-part framework, you have to start asking yourself, the first thing is authentic identity. What are the non-negotiables? Ask yourself, do you have non-negotiables? Because if you stand for everything, you represent nothing. Authentic identity is one. The second is the value proposition. What specific problem do you solve for the public? A lot of people are complainers, they keep complaining. And sometimes I just sit back and I say, so when are you going to define something that you have that is authentic, that you can bring to the table and stop being a complainer? I just hope and pray that someday, if only the authorities could send representatives from the National Orientation Agency or state orientation agencies to come to the Citadel School of Government to be taught, they will understand that for all of us in here, including yours truly, what is that problem that you solve for the public? Are you a fixer? Are you visionary? Are you a brick builder? When God led me to the Lateran Assembly and ultimately gave me that pathway, it was actually my pathway to finding out my destiny and my purpose. So Corporate Shepherds, I find, as a social enterprise that God has granted me grace to sit with and to found, is something that I started, and this is a story for another day. Sister Bukola alluded to the fact, to the glory of God, we're about 9 stations now. I think we dropped one or so. But they brought out the report, end of year report by an independent media agency for 2025. And it's normally done every quarter. And as of December 2025, the latest, that little program that started as a seed that Almighty God put as a responsibility in my hand to mentor a generation, called Navigate with Idy Enang, across the 5 states with 9 stations, has 12 million listeners monthly. And it's a business school on radio. Today, I had the privilege of, speaking to one of the top 3 pension fund administrators in the country, met their executive team. They've done an acquisition, and they invited me to come speak to the entire senior team. And 3 of those executives, the first thing when I got in there, they said, Navigate with Idy. This guy said, I listen, I'm in Port Harcourt. Sorry, I beg your pardon, in Abuja. The other one said, okay, I don't miss it. I'm in Lagos. And the other one said, I listened from Abeokuta. And I said, oh my God, 3 of them. These are big men. So I'm asking you, What specific problem do you solve for the public? Are you a fixer? Are you visionary? Are you a brick builder? That's when you start knowing if you are really a leader, if you have a brand. The third part of that framework is visual and digital presence. Friends, in 2026, your digital twin, whether it's LinkedIn, X, apologies, I still write Twitter. Twitter is in my head, X. News archives often meet stakeholders before you do. Your digital twin, I tell people, what is your digital footprint? If you are part of the Citadel School of Government now, and you're seated there amongst the 70, and you don't have a digital footprint, you've just probably wasted your money, because now is the day you have of reckoning. Get up and do something. Many of us will say, it's my son, it's my daughter. Your visual and digital presence, to a large extent, that you will see in this 21st century, is very key. Gone are the days you could hide under one finger behind a finger. Now, doesn't work. And so what's the fourth part? It's about strategic storytelling. You move from dry data to values in action stories. People don't follow spreadsheets. They follow narratives. That's why fake news is the order of the day. Nobody follows spreadsheets again. It's not about no, narratives. And there are loads of narratives out there that are false. So what are you doing with your own space to correct the narrative? But you sit back and complain, oh, these children, they are drinking too much. These children, they are smoking too much. What are you doing about it? Oh, the country, what are you doing about it? A leader's brand is built on a 4-part framework. Please look at this 4 and ask yourself, where do you belong? Do you have non-negotiables, or you stand for everything? Anything, like I always say, anywhere belle face, that's where you go face. You don't represent nothing. There's a problem. These are core pillars of a public brand. So, having established all of that, let's look through the lens of public trust and digital sovereignty and begin to ask ourselves some questions and redefine personal branding for leaders. So, taking it within an overall context. In a public leadership context, personal branding is a strategic management of your reputation to increase your capacity for impact. If you don't increase your capacity for impact, then it means you don't have the capability. I tell people that the cap and the ability are 2 different things. You know, gone are the days, you would remember it was Bob Marley, who the cap fits, let them wear it. Okay, who the cap fits, let him wear, that's the cap. But if you don't have the ability and you wear the cap, it will be obvious. Now, when you have the ability and you wear the cap, then you are capable. But you can be capable and not have capacity. So what you need to give you that capacity, it doesn't come it just sits on you. Look at a 10 kVA generator and a 1000 kVA, 2 different night and day. So if you look at personal branding, it is that strategic management. Your reputation is what is going to increase your capacity for impact, because people don't follow for the right people. Don't just follow for the like of following. You must have some impact. And later on, you're going to see, I'm going to present to you some archetypes. It is not self-promotion of fame, which some people try to do, but it is the intersection of 3 specific elements. Number 1, we said it again, identity, who you actually are, your values, expertise, and temperament. This is where we talk of EQ, emotional intelligence. And you just realize that people will deliberately, from the boardroom, I knew that very early. God injected me into the world of executive management very early, at a very young age at Guinness. When I was saddled with the responsibility of launching Satsembra, I had to present to the executive management committee at that time, and I was barely just 27. 26 going 27. And they have put a 450 million naira budget of business on my shoulders. I had to present to the EMC every Wednesday. It was there I started noticing and dining with kings. And I saw that temperaments make a lot of difference in the boardroom. Some people can just put a little trigger and then boom, you lose it. It tells you who you are. And by the way, let me give you a side gig. Those of you that don't play golf, if you go play golf, golf will expose you because your temperament will show. All the native swears and all that you do, get on the course, it will show. By the time you knock 3 holes, 4 holes, they will know who you are. Your identity, your true identity will show on the golf course. It's about the image, how others perceive you, your communication, your visual cues, and your digital, again, I would say digital footprint. And I'm using this opportunity to say, if you don't have a digital footprint, you have not started. And your digital footprint must be consistent. So who is Idy Enang? If you go to Instagram and get on my platform at Idy Enang, Instagram, Facebook, and you meet me up on LinkedIn or X, which is former Twitter, there must be some consistency. Someone should be able to read something out of that and say, this is who this guy is. So who are you? So the image is tied to your identity. Then integrity is a gap between the two. The smaller the gap, the stronger the brand. It's elasticity. You know, when you have rubber, you know, I don't know how many of you, excluding the women, because this is a man's thing, the boys' world, catapult. If you look at a catapult, the shorter the rubber is with the stick, when you put the stone inside and you pull that, it goes further. The integrity is like that. Is the gap between your identity and your image. And let me give you some mathematical equation of a public leader's equation. Your brand equals, and then for those of you that didn't like maths in school, I'm taking you back to board maths. Bracket first, board maths, remember? Board maths. The principle, start the bracket. Competence plus visibility together times trust equals your brand. So if you are not competent and you are not visible, forget it. By the time you multiply it to trust, who sabi you? Nothing. You're just a floater. But if you take competence and visibility, ballpark, and multiply that by trust, which is an intrinsic, it is almost something that you invest or has been vested in you, and people see it, boom, your brand hits the roof. But if your trust is zero, forget it. Your entire brand value is zero. This is regardless of how competent, regardless of how visible you are, one's trust is zero. Forget it. Times zero is zero. Whatever the figure, 100, 200 times zero is zero. This is the redefinition of personal branding. And please take this equation and stick it somewhere. I wish my Yoruba could be so good. I love Yoruba language. It's very rich. You know, it says just put it on your left hand so that you will not eat with it. And I wonder if I'm lefty, what will happen now? So you tell me, put it on the right, or I'm ambidextrous. I beg, I chop the thing anyhow, but you cannot chop total. Here I'm saying to you, keep this as something at the back end. Many of us remember this woman, Margaret Thatcher, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. She says, if you trust the people, you face them. Many people can't face the people. They hide behind the veil. If you can't, like my pastor will say, the day you are able to face the music, you will lead the band. And in my own words, why I see it, when you are able to lead the orchestra and back the crowd, you will be able to stand. Because the noise coming from the back and you conducting the orchestra, if you allow the noise of the crowd to affect you, you will lead the orchestra wrongly and there will be no scene. The people, you should face them. So let's define the 21st, um, century within context. And here I'm saying that to align branding with the current era, we must define the unique pressures of the 21st century. We live in the age of what I call radical transparency. You can see that image there. It's radical transparency. It's defined by 3 Ds. The first D is decentralization. Listen, friends, power has moved from institutions, whether ministry or party, to individuals. The day Nigerians wake up to realize that power has moved from one ministry or from one party, Nigeria will be free. There's decentralization in this 21st century. One single viral video can outweigh a 50-page policy white paper. Donald Trump is showing the world just one single video, just one tweet. Decentralization. Same thing is happening. It's called personalization. It's called commercialization. There's also digitization. Everything is archived. My friend, a leader's brand is no longer what they say today. It is the sum of every digital trace they've left over the last 20 years. So we are in 2026. If you did something in 2005 and you think you come now and just open, somebody will pull it out. Not with this generation. They'll bring it out. Everything is archived. This is the 21st century. So you have to. My colleagues, especially my colleagues in corporate shepherds, Esther will tell me, they say, Oga, once she says Oga, myself, I go kill myself. He said, you're a public figure. I said, I'm not public anything. I'm telling you, just one single item, you come out and lose your cool, it will be stored somewhere. A lot of people think they've deleted stuff. Wait until that day. The third D is a democratization of opinion. I didn't want to use that word in order not to cannibalize it. There are 3 Ds: decentralization, digitization, and democratization of opinion. Every citizen with a smartphone is now a journalist, a critic, a brand auditor. You no longer control your message, you steward it. When you want proper stewardship, it starts from self, personal leadership, personal stewardship. So you might just be walking on the street and someone is doing something with his smartphone. Maybe you just decided, I always pray, I say, God, help me that, I will not run on the wrong track. For example, you are pressed, you're on 10 mainland, there's serious traffic, and you just say, let me just come out. Hey, look who is here, Idy Enang, peeing on 10 mainland. That will be headline. Before you know it, it's gone viral. And you ask yourself, another piece, which come, my own pee can't be wahala. You have left the space. You are in a different space. It's democratization of opinion. Somebody will say, you have no right to pee at that place, but it's your body, but you have to hold yourself. So to avoid that, always carry one empty container and leave it inside your car. If you know you want to be a public leader. I'm just saying that as a side, as a byline. You no longer control your message, you steward it. So what does this mean? It means that we need to align the two. We just need that alignment. That alignment gives us what I call the integrated public leader, aligning the two. That is the 20th century leadership, which is the old way, and the 21st century branding, which is the new way. Now, this is where we have a lot of issues with the younger generation. Whether you call them Gen Z, whether you call them millennials, or call them Gen Alpha, this is where we have issues, and it's also impacting on parenting. Because the old way, sits around opaqueness, hidden behind the iron veil of the office. I'm a public leader, I'm this. No, everything is opaque. You don't have to don't tell them what we are doing here because this is the office. In the 21st century, it's about vulnerability. You have to show the process, the struggle, and the why. And thank God for the man God has led to found a great academy like this. Dr. Tunde Bakare is absolutely, I can't talk of a better example of vulnerability. He shows you the process, he tells you the process, the struggles, and the whys. That is a 21st century branding. Monologue. In the old way, delivering speeches from a podium. Many of us need a podium to deliver speeches. Yes, you still use a podium. That's why I said integrated. However, in the 21st century, it's about engaging in two-way digital conversations. Look at WhatsApp. Pure time waster. You can just pick up the phone and call someone, but you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You could just waste 40 minutes just going back and forth. Just tell yourself, Abba, is this different from a monologue? No, it's just a dialogue. Institutional authority. Listen, you must respect me because of my rank or my title. 21st century, it's about relational authority. Trust me because of my track record and values. And finally, polished perfection. Everything is perfectly curated, robotic PR. You find, but today it's about curated authenticity. You have to be human, you have to be relatable, and even own your own mistakes. You have to come out and say, listen, I goofed. That's what the 21st century public leader and the branding, the new way, is all about. So this is why. The reason why that is so, in the 21st century, neutrality is a myth. If you do not define your brand, the public, your political opponents, I dare say your colleagues in the office, or the media will define it for you. People will call you what you are not, but you need to define your brand. Strategic branding is the act of reclaiming the narrative. It allows a leader to build what? Social capital during quiet times. So they have a trust reserve to draw upon during a crisis. I'm always referring to EBA, emotional bank account. One thing I must say also, social capital plus competence is what makes you sit well. If you're not competent and you just have social capital, you are just a nice man. But when you're competent, plus your social capital, you are one person that will be called upon anytime. That's why in times of crisis, why do people come to your house? They're not coming to your house because they love you. They are looking for a solution and they know the solution is with you. Your social capital has merged with your competence and you have a trust reserve. In the emotional bank account of that entity or the person, there's a lot of trust. And they come to you in times of crisis, whether personal, family, whatever. So I'm going to move swiftly into what I call the 21st century public leadership archetypes. I did tell you. And here, I'll start with the first archetype, which is the technocratic expert, called as the master of mechanics. The brand essence here, when you talk about the brand essence, it is that unique, absolute, unfettered, something unique about is that the fragrance. When there are certain, I worked for a beauty company, L'Oreal, and when you step into, a store where luxury fragrances are sold, and then you sniff and just kind of knows, they'll give you want to buy a particular perfume. They always have coffee beans around there, ground coffee beans to clear. Then they'll give it to you on paper, they'll throw it. I said, no. I don't like this. This is a bit like wood. I need something that is flowery. Yeah, that's the essence. That's what I mean. The brand essence of a technocratic expert, the master of mechanics, in quote, is competence, precision, and stability. And with such people, the value proposition is I make the system work when it is broken. And the narrative is really around that data, process, and being calm under pressure. Now, I just put the best for central bank governors and all of that. Ministers of finance, if not, if you have a wrong guy in there, your money is smoked. And DGs of regulatory bodies. See what my mama, NAFDAC mama, when she came out again yesterday forcefully about Sachet, Prof. And each time I meet her and sit with her, mama looks, Prof, she looks so small, but spitting fire. Very, very competent. And she will tell you, Idy, we cannot continue this. The process is this. But under pressure, she's calm. A clear example is our own NY. Our brand is built on unparalleled expertise and international credibility. There couldn't be a better person to put here as a master of mechanics. Today, our own Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, doctor. Are you a technocratic expert? Then there's the second archetype, which is the guardian of values. The brand essence here is integrity, justice, and courage. And the value proposition you find with this archetype, I will do what is right, even if it is unpopular. And you find their narrative style very ethical, principled, focused on the soul of the nation or institution. Now, here, I just could not help it but to have three men. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, their brands were anchored in an unwavering ethical North Star. And of course, our own PTB, Dr. Tunde Bakare. You would look at these men as solid guardians of value. Integrity, justice, and courage. Can't take it from them. They will do what is right, even if it is unpopular. Are you a guardian of values? And then you have the disruptive reformer, the agent of change. When I got to this place, I said, this guy looks like my cousin from a different mother. I'm probably in the same family. The brand essence is innovation, boldness, and future focused. And the value proposition is the old way is dead. I'm building a new way. I struggle to understand how people want to stay in the old all the time when there's a new way. And so their narrative style is energetic, provocative, questioning the status quo. So when I try to look for who will best fit here, Nayib Bukele, this guy is an El Salvadorian. For those of you that don't, go check him out. Because regardless of policy debate, his brand is centered on being the reboot of a failing system. And he uses technology and direct action. His own pump action is to go back and infuse something from the back end. That's naive. And I found myself in this space. And I said, this man is my cousin. Because I tell you, if you're around me and you want to continue doing old things and whatever, I will bulldoze. I remember one of my colleagues in Cadbury, Paul Udochi, called me yesterday and said he was just sitting down, he just started laughing. And I remember the day I resigned, when I resigned from Cadbury, I was sitting in my office. We had just come from a board meeting in Abuja. At that board meeting, where we had, it was in Abuja, June 2010. And I sat there and I told Tucker Phillips and Paul were sitting with me. And we sat there, and one thing just triggered it. We had just appointed some new directors to the board and the chairman. And these guys came in and they didn't have the courtesy to even say thank you to the directors who were there, who had held the fort, who had transformed the company, or to just even say thank you. Or notably, it took Sonny Nwosu. Sonny Nwosu, for those of you that are very familiar with, the capital market, you know Sonny Wosu is one of those veteran, serious guys you cannot joke with. Sonny Wosu got up and said, Mr. Chairman and indeed the board, I think it will be out of order if we do not thank the commercial team led by Idy for transforming Cadbury and many other directors sitting here. You know, before Sonny said that, I told the two guys sitting with me, I said, guys, as we get back home, I'm leaving the company. I said, there's a Pharaoh now that does not know Joseph. My time is up. I'm finished. And that was June 2010. We got into the office, and then that same Monday, my colleague Paul came into my office after close of work at about 5:30. I still remember like yesterday. He was standing and I was sitting there. We were having a chat, and he was saying to me, "Oga, that thing where you talk on Friday is serious." I said, "See my letter here, Paulo." I showed him my letter. I said, "See the letter here." And then the MD walked in, Alan Palmer. Alan walked in and he said, "Oh, guys, how are you? Oh, that was great stuff, Idy. Your guys have done well." Hunchback. You know, thank us. You know the hunchback thing now. Hunchback, for day, you call me hunchback, for night, you can't scratch my back. If you know, you know. And I sat there. So Paul was looking at me. And I said to him, Alan, oh, thank God you are here. I was going to come over to your office. He said, oh, I have a piece of, I have something for you. And this was my letter of resignation. I gave it to him, addressed to him, Alan Palmer, Managing Director, Cadbury Nigeria. He looked at it. He said, what's this ID? Mind if I open it here? I said, if I were you, I'll open it in your quiet time. Don't open it here. We're having a conversation, but it's your call. It's addressed to you, what you want to do. He now opened it and saw resignation. He said, is this a joke? I said, do I look like a joker, a comedian? So Paul said, that's what we had just been discussing actually when you stepped in. The man's face went pink. And he said, are you kidding me? He said, but give me a chance to respond. I said, I won't say anything. But let me tell you one thing. By the time I've decided that I'm leaving, I left a long time ago. So 3 months, but I'll tell you, I will only mention to my direct reports that I've resigned from the company, and effective 1st of September, August 31st will be my last day in Cadbury Nigeria as commercial director. The man looked at me and he said, Idy, you've been an agent of change here. How could you just leave us? I said, I've completed my assignment. That's why I know that I'm a disruptive reformer. Maybe this is my archetype. Begin to find yours. The moral of the story is, which one are you? There's the empathetic connector, the unifier. The essence here is relatability, compassion, and inclusion. The value proposition here is, I see you, I hear you, and we are in this together. Are you an empathetic connector? Are you a unifier? And the narrative style is personal storytelling. We're talking about nothing other than the personal branding in the context of what? The 21st century. And as a 21st century public leader, you must understand the archetypes. The narrative style is personal storytelling, listening first, emotionally intelligent. And good examples that I had was Malala and Jacinda. For those of you who remember the Christchurch shooting or COVID-19, Jacinda was at the forefront of leading that vanguard, leading with empathy. And of course, Malala, you all know Malala and her vanguard and what she's taken to. She came to the country a few years back. Are you an empathetic connector? There's a pragmatic builder, the one you call the deliverer. We're talking about personal branding. 21st century public leader, you must be shaped into one of these archetypes, whether you like it or yes. The brand essence here is about execution. It's about results. It's about physical impact. Their value proposition is, I don't just talk because talk is cheap. I build and I fix. They are project focused and the visual evidence of progress. You will see it. By the way, if you're not understand what I'm saying, forget it, my friend. That voice over alone tells you who that could possibly, that public leader, pragmatic builder, is a deliverer. So a good example is Lee Kuan Yew. His brand was synonymous with the physical and economic transformation of Singapore. I keep referring to that book somewhere. It's sitting here in my library. Performance was his own marketing. But you know what, friends? Same can be said of our very own Babatunde Raji Fashola BRF as governor of Lagos State. This is my considered opinion that BRF is the best governor Lagos State has ever had. A pragmatic builder. Pragmatic builder. I just wish and I hope that whoever is coming after the incumbent, who is just, when they say Wakapas, just in the movie, you would see, and then let's see who else. But BRF, Lee Kuan Yew, pragmatic builders. Big question for you. Where do you sit? I've just come through 5 archetypes, and you must be asking yourself, if you're not asking yourself questions at this point, then there's a problem. Either you're not sure, you've never thought about it, and you just think, okay, yeah, I want to be a public leader. I think it's nice. Please, if you are not known for something, then there's a problem. You cannot be Dogmosi. Yes, sir. Everywhere Beleface you go. What did they sabi you for? Where do you sit? But I have a good test for you here. This is for you. It's a brand fit test. And I have 3 modes. The first one is a default mode. So when crisis hits, do you reach for a spreadsheet as a technocrat, or a law book as a moral compass, or microphone as a connector? This is a way to tell you where you possibly can fit. When your default mode, when there's wahala, when there's a challenge, do you quickly look for
Okay, so am I the only one? Can anybody hear our facilitator?
No.
Right, let me.
You're not the only one.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yes, it must be his network. I know he will join. He will join back. I was enjoying the fact that he had put us on the questioning seat, if I could say that where do we sit? Okay, is it back? Okay, yes. You're welcome back, sir.
Sorry about that. Is the usual. Okay, so just to go back a bit, I said, having gone through the archetypes, question is where do you sit? And I'm trying to give you a brand fit test so you can assess it and know where you fit. There's a default mode. That's one way to look at it. Then there's the legacy question that says, if I leave office tomorrow, if I leave where I am tomorrow, many of us are in certain roles.
Hello, Elder Idy. Do you want to share your slide again?
What do you want to be remembered for?
Hello, Elder Idy. Do you want to share your slides again?
Oh, it's okay. It's not. Did it come out?
Yes, you have to share it again.
All right, sorry. Oh, Lord have mercy. So it disrupted. Okay, let me try and do this.
Yes, we have it. You want to put it on the presentation mode? Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Apologies for that. That's normal for us anyway, but someday it will come up normal. All right. So I was just saying that, asking where do you sit in the scheme of things within the archetype, and then I trying to give us what I call a brand fit test. The first one was the default mode. So when there's a crisis or when there's an issue, do you reach for a spreadsheet? That means you're a technocrat. Or you go for a logbook. That means you sit within the moral compass. Or you go for the microphone. That means you're a connector. That's default mode. That's one. The legacy question is, if you leave office, if I leave office tomorrow, do I want to be remembered for what I built or how I made people feel? You know, Stabuki said something fundamental. 4 years ago, when I took up the mantle as leader of as the president and chairman of the governing council of the institute, one of the things I said to them was that we needed to be very inclusive, that I did not think that as an institute where we allowed women come into governance. So from day one, and I dare say that even when I was first vice president, I started the process of mentoring the current president. So Bola Joko, I started mentoring her 5 years ago in 2021, and I said to her then, prepare, because down the road, you'll be a candidate for the top job. And then I did the same with another gentleman called Walter Okafor. Both of them became the two vice presidents. And 1 year to my turn, after they were elected as vice presidents, I said to them, one of you will succeed me. I don't know which one. So I opened up what I call the ways of working, the wow. And I said, you need to be integrated fully. And I took a step back, and I allowed them run the institute while I was behind. My question was, and when the time came, I asked them, I said, so which of you is going to run?
Don't disturb me. Mommy and call.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, please, Ademola Bola, please, can you mute your mic? And please, just in case your mic is unmuted, can you just do us that honor? It's part of our brand, please, when you're in a meeting.
So the question I'm asking you, if you leave office tomorrow, what do you want to be remembered for? Is it what you built or how you made people feel? Either way, it's a legacy question. Then there's a communication gap. Ask yourself, does my current social media profile reflect the archetype I naturally inhabit, or I am trying to act like a different one? There are many people, I don't believe in hiding under any roof. This is who I am, and I have my name there. I have taken full responsibility for it. I'm not going on any pseudo play. No, I'm not going to sit behind one little name and begin to wreak havoc. For me, I believe that's absolute cowardice. If you want to be known for something, be known. And that's why I salute the likes of Omoyele Shore. He's out there, you know who he is, or VDM, that is who they are. Not some people that will go and hide under one name and be wreaking havoc, and then they come out in the morning and say, I'm just yeah, cool. No. That's the brand fit test. And this is the way it sums it up. At the end of the day, your personal brand can reduce volatility at moments of crisis. There's an example is Nelson Mandela. Moral authority under pressure. When Nelson Mandela emerged after 27 years of imprisonment, credibility was already established. Reconciliation aligned with proud conduct, and the moral consistently stabilized a nation. That nation could be your institute, could be your association, could be your club, could be your estate, could be whatever. Your personal brand can help reduce volatility at moments of crisis because you are there, because you came. The world has to be very different. So who are you? This is my parting shot. I'm bringing all the archetypes on one side, and I'm showing you, if you're a technocrat, your primary asset is knowledge. Your tool in the 21st century is LinkedIn and the white papers and all. The risk you must avoid, appearing cold or out of touch. Many technocrats are out of touch. Nobody knows they exist. And they appear cold. They are not They blow cold, hot, warm. You must be hot. They must feel your frequency. They vibrate. Nobody hold you, they shake. They no say you know what you know. The primary asset is knowledge. Moral compass, if that is your archetype, your primary asset is your character. And in the 21st century, the public testimony is your tool. What people are going to say about you, they will testify about you. But the risk to avoid is appearing self-righteous. Many people fail that test because they get to a point and feel, I'm self-righteous. I don't understand. I tell people, you don't know what's going to befall you tomorrow. We all are under the dispensation of grace. It takes grace and God to keep us. So don't be self-righteous. No, I can never do this. God forbid. Not me. I hear. Now they catch, now be thief. Are you a disruptor? Your primary asset is a vision. You're visionary. The 21st century tool is X or viral media. But risk to avoid is chaos without substance. Don't get chaotic. Make sure the form, everything has substance. Because without that, it will dissipate. If your archetype is a connector, your primary asset is empathy. The 21st century tool is Instagram or town halls, where you have a chance, where you bring people together. You're a connector. But the risk to avoid is being seen as soft on policy, because everybody just feels you're thinking from the heart. And if you're a builder, the primary asset is results. The 21st century tool is to inspect what you expect. Visit the sites, infographics. But one thing you must avoid is neglecting humanity. Don't neglect the human story. And the reason I have this shot here, those of you that play tennis, when you are having your doubles partner, you need to whisper to him or you need to talk to yourselves. You come very close and say, guy, no try again. Don't try that shot again. Next time I will vex for you. That's one way. Another thing is, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? Are you okay? You are telling your partner, come on, you're getting too soft. We need the energy. So where do you sit? This is my parting shot. But then we started by opening Proverbs 11 and verse 3, talked about integrity, character. And now I leave you with Matthew 5:16. It says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify who? The Father in heaven. Friends, in the 21st century, leadership is visible. Let your character be brighter than your position. There couldn't be a better way to put this. And also, again, I say to you, again, these are reflections. The integrity reflection. Please assess how your decisions align with your core values and beliefs in leadership roles. Stability in crisis. Consider whether your leadership approach can foster trust and resilience during challenging times. And the third reflection I'd like you to take from a long-term commitment, evaluate your dedication to maintaining credibility and integrity within your institution, within your sphere of influence over time. In a visible age like we are now, your character is your brand. There is nothing else. Thank you so much. Thank you for the privilege, and I'm so grateful.
Wow, 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 wow. I don't even know where to start. When I spoke with Elder Idy today, I said, Elder Idy, you are going to rock the table again today. You are going to rock the table again. So please keep those emojis, those claps. Thank you so much for this. Yes, wow, 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 wow. Ah, where do we start? So while the lecture was going on, I obviously, yes, you will know that I actually jotted some things down. You started by saying we should not just fake this thing. People fake this thing. But can we just go with the thought that personal branding is a strategic alignment? I like that word, alignment of your identity, behavior, and communication. That was how you started. Then, of course, you talked about the 4 core pillars, where you talked about public brand, your value proposition. I love that what specific problems are you actually solving as a leader? And you rightly captured it that we don't have to get to that point where we say we are public leaders. Everyone is a leader. So at that space, what exactly are you solving? I love that. Then, of course, visual and digital presence. It was like, okay, Bukola, the ID is talking to you. You have to step up your game. You have to step up your game. Yes, that was very powerful. And honestly, if you're a leader today and they cannot trace you on the digital space, well, then of course strategic storytelling, yes, and then of course you came up with with a formula. So we have to go and apply that formula. Brand, competence plus visibility, in brackets times trust. If your trust is 0, even if you are competent and you are very visible on social media, Otubate, it will still come to 0. And, we have to be very careful because we talk about these things, in terms of our public servants, our public leaders. So let us not be found in that. Then I love what you did concerning, our archetypes. And you had actually posed that question to us, that where exactly do we sit? I want to believe that all of us will do that exercise, and it would be nice. I mean, from the class, to share who we are. Are we a technocrat expert, moral compass? Are we a disruptive reformer, empathetic connector, or we are a pragmatic builder? Idy, thank you so much for doing this. I want to open the floor now for questions. If you have questions, please raise up your digital hand and then I will give the floor to you. But please let's know. We would like to take lots of questions, concerns, and if you want to say 1 or 2 things, probably you want to talk about your own experience, please. But please let us be mindful of time. I will cut you if you are taking less than 1 minute. You should go straight to your question, and then I'll probably take maybe 2 questions at a go or 3 questions at a go, so that we can have more people coming to. So I can see Bumi Alupin's hand and Jacob Promise. So Bumi Alupin, please unmute your mic and ask your questions. Let it be succinct. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Elder Idy. My question is on strategic alignment and digital presence. So I'll use myself as an example very quickly. So having been employed into the very traditional civil service at that time, it was like you were supposed to be heard and not seen. We were not encouraged to put ourselves out there. And with what is going on now, in this, I look forward to this, this program today, because I know that I need that personal branding. How do I really align myself such that I am not violating the ethics of my work, and I'm also able to put myself out there? I promised myself every year that I'll go to my LinkedIn, I'll have engagements, but I've found it almost impossible to keep engaging. So how do I do that? And I know that I'm a connector. That's my second question. Is it okay to earn from that, to maybe not make a living, but when I consciously do it, is it okay to earn something from doing that? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So Elder Idy will take 3 and then you will answer that. So please, I hope you will note in that question down. So let's go to Jacob Promise. Thank you, Bumi. You can put the digital hand down. Thank you. So to Jacob, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is it possible to have the 4 archetypes in one person? Because I think there are some examples of leaders that we have perceived these 4 natures or these 4 archetypes.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Yes, and then we go to Bolale Edwards. Thank you. Go ahead. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, Bolale Edwards. Your hand is up. All right. Okay.
Right. So, thank you so much. For me,
Can't seem to hear
All
that.
right. So, Bolale, we can hardly hear you. We can hardly hear you. Do you want to amplify that voice? Or you can put it on the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pick it up from there.
All right.
All right. So do that, then I'll pick it up from there. So the third question will go to the Allison family. So who is coming now? Is it Mr. or Mrs.? Both of them did school. So that'll be the third question. So please, yes, go ahead. We'll take Bolale Edwards the second round. Yeah, so please go ahead. Who is coming? Is it Adam?
Good evening, it's Adam.
Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Mine is not a question. I just want to say thank you to Elder Idy for a powerful, instructive session. I feel that this session can be taken into, converted into a 3-month course. I feel that there's so much to unpack from this. I want to say thank you, sir, again. God bless you, sir.
All right, so thank you very much for that. Thank you. So, and Elder Idy, do justice to these 2 questions now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your very, very kind words. And perhaps, Sister Buki, please keep me honest. With the change in power, it's also affecting the network. So if you notice that I'm not coming out well, then I may have to go up through video just to get the bandwidth better. So fine. Just keep me honest on that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Bumi Alugmi, thank you very much for your question. You know, one of the things, if you remember, I talked about the 20th century and the 21st. It will be shocking to a lot of people if I say this, that I was once a civil servant. I worked as a level 6 officer at the Ministry of Defense, Officers Pay Office. I was a young boy then, I was a teenager. It was my bridge between A-levels. After my A-levels, and I didn't have admission, so I worked level 6 officer at Ministry of Defense, Officers Pay Office. Then we were paid 178 naira twice a month. Now, civil service rules, just like every other organization, this could be the civil service. I also know people that work for certain organizations that the founder or the owner of the organization says, I don't want to see you outside there. And so, because of that, they are locked in. So let's take yours straight up as it is. In today's civil service, as it were, you find there's a lot of democratization. And what is shocking is that today's public servants are very open and very political. They are members of political parties. In my own reckoning at that time, we're told public servants cannot belong to any political movement. But today, they are the first recruiters or first responders. So I think it's just where our society has gotten to. And you want to ask yourself a big question. Do you want to be a non-conformist or you want to conform? And in being a non-conformist, you have to apply wisdom. So you sit in a place where you decide, and this is where it's permissible for you to, you're on LinkedIn. You may have a passion for cooking. That has nothing to do with civil service. Like you said, you're a connector. And by the way, you may have a passion for XYZ. You may have a passion for helping indigent families. You may have a passion for something that is helping society. Are you going to say that you cannot, with every moral fiber in you, be able to put that across? The answer is no. And I think sometimes we take some of these things to the extreme. So I think, to my mind, that strategic alignment needs to happen. Now, as long as you are not violating the ethos and the ethics of your role in the civil service. So, you are in the Ministry of Justice, and then you start making certain comments about stuff around the judiciary. That's not on. But I don't think you will be disallowed from, doing something that what the world needs. And that brings me to the answer I'll give to you as a connector, whether you need to get paid for it. My sister, I don't know if you've heard the word ikigai. It's a Japanese word, Ikigai. It has 4 components. The first one speaks to your passion. What do you love? That is what you love. The second one speaks to your mission. What does the world need? The third one speaks to your profession. What are you good at? And the fourth one speaks to your vocation. What can you be paid for? If you're sitting down and you are 4/4, I tell you, you're sitting pretty well. If you are 3/4, you're sitting pretty well. If you are 1/4 in what I've said, you're just a pawn on the chessboard. You're not going to go far. And I'll round it up by saying, wearing my economics hat, labor, I learned this in 1978, labor is a mental or physical exertness in exchange for the reward. As long as you've exerted energy, you can be rewarded. You then decide how you want to be rewarded, whether in cash or in kind. Kind here, we are talking about barter. You can choose to barter your time, barter what you have in exchange for something else. I hope that answers that. Now, Jacob Promise said, is it possible to have 4 archetypes in one person? Of course. As a matter of fact, you will find you having strands of all 5. But what is the unique you? That is what makes the unique human. You cannot tell me that you are not a builder. Then why are you a family man? But we're talking about that which is I want to use the word default. You call it your preference. The place that you know, this is where you are. If anybody tap anyone, and we're talking about branding here, is the consistency of how you've shown a direction of what, how, and who you are, and they tap someone and say, who is Idy? Most people, starting from Sister Buki looking at me here, will say I'm a disruptor. This one, no nonsense. But does that mean I'm not a builder? No. Does that mean that I'm not that? No. What it tells you is that this is the more dominant. So there's always the dominant style. This is the dominant you. That dominant you is more or less where I want to put it in a different way, where you are graced, and people will see it. Now small needle small, fowl no fit swallow am. Even needle get grace. If you carry am, swallow am anyhow, I go show you. If you take am, put anywhere, just tells you that anything has a measure of dominance and you don't tread around it carelessly. I hope that answers your question. And thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. So we have 2 questions. I will read them from the chat, but just in case you want to speak, please still raise your digital hand up. But let's take these 2 questions. So we have one from Adams. I don't know if it's Adams or Pearl, but anyway, from the Allison. It says, the elder, that is you, said you cannot control your message. You can only steward it. Please, can you expound this? Open the tea, let's understand it. And then, of course, Bolanle Edward says she finds herself as an empathetic connector. especially in our ecosystem, where she serves as a leader of a women business management organization. However, sometimes she's taken for granted. So how would she re-strategize? So let's take these two questions. And just in case you have questions, you can still raise your digital hand, then I'll call you up. So
all right, let me go to my All Is One family. That's our code name for the Allison family. You know, when I gave that byline, I did say that I used an analogy and I said, in today's democratization, you can't, if someone takes a live video of you unconsciously, it's your message. You don't have to speak. That person, so maybe you are doing something, you're dancing. Let me just go into the world. You're dancing. And then people just bring out their cameras these days, they start recording. You don't know where that is going to go to. This is where you can steward it. If you dance alatika, 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 you don't already see who you be. But if you dance in a way, that is the stewardship I'm talking about. Because you, in a democratized setting, where with the advent of technology, you don't have, your message is actually, they're verbal and non-verbal. You don't have to speak. But if you are found in a compromising space, you're already a messenger in the message. And what do you need to do? It comes, the way to make that work is self-regulation. As a public leader, self-regulation. And you must watch out for temperament. People will naturally do things to provoke you. Now you have to ask yourself, do I want to be provoked, or I'll swallow, I'll take it? You know, my school then, Cook School, they'll tell us to speak easy. You just count 1 to 10. You know, if you have someone just comes at you and you're looking at him and say, if I catch you, you count 1 to 10, then you just calm down. And that's looking at it from a different context. But what I'm just saying to you now is the essence of saying, I don't want people to think that when you hold your phone, that's when you are controlling your message. No, no, no. You are in the world now, traffic in Lagos, you get up, someone just 1 split second hits your car, and that guy was driving road rage. You come out, and then you go bang the window. As you're banging it, a staff, somebody takes it and puts it up. And when he puts it up, puts a rider. This is the kind of mad people we have in Lagos. And someone in Canada now calls you and say, Idy, your boy, what did I do? They say, no. Oh boy, no, we had to see the bank person window. Say, no, now one crazy man can't jam my car. He said, the one way I see now, they tell you so. Now, self-regulation, that is how you steward it. Self-regulation. And coming to my MD, you know, I like the fact that, and that's one thing I did say, so thanks for helping me put this. To every archetype, there are pluses and there are minuses. There are areas where people can exploit that particular archetype. So to an empathetic connector, people will just feel, they will take it for granted. You will do stuff and they don't think they owe you even to say thank you. Now, what do you do? One of the things that you have to do differently is that you have to now start by setting the tone. It's the same way, I know you are in fashion school, or what is that school that you are always teaching us how to dress? Dress the way you want to be addressed. And I'm bringing it back into that context to say, because you know you are already an empathetic connector, always put up the notes up front and say, guys, concerning this, this is how the rules of engagement will become your plan. And then underneath it, there are consequences. Part of the consequence is that if you do this, this will happen. That way, you're beginning to get people to see another side of you because you have not been able to put it down. So just take it upon yourself create rules of engagement upfront to protect your heart, to protect the sanctity of that which you believe in, and no other person is taking it for granted. And that's really what you need to just do. Put those things on the table, and when there are consequences, live through it. Don't shy away from it.
Thank you. Rules of engagement. Thank you. All right. So we'll take Bolanle now and then Dr. Sonia. Yes. So Bolanle, can you unmute? Let's have your question. Do you, Bolanle, are you there? Please unmute.
Okay. Good evening.
Yes. Good
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you so much, Elder. It's been
Thank
a
you.
wonderful lecture. Thank you so much, sir. But I have this pressing question from the moment you started. How can we use branding to measure structure and standard in the aspect of institutions of government and politics? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Straight to the point. Then we'll take Dr. Sonia. Let's have you, Doctor. Please unmute your mic. Dr. Sonia, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Good evening, Mrs. Femi Ajala. And thank you so much, Uncle Idy. I am one of the beneficiaries of your mentorship over the years from LRA when you spotted and said, oh, Sonia, do you know you are good in this? And I hadn't even thought about it, that some things just come to you naturally. And so that becomes a brand for you. Having said that, there's a place of resolving your identity. That's my question. Okay, in my LinkedIn page, which is a professional page, I recall that we had the organization I worked for, they are into education and all of that. So there was a lot of the Americans, right? So they bring out a lot of rules of the do's and don'ts, and in place of a personal conflict with your thoughts. So I started this Leaders of Innovative Learning in Africa. So I went online and checked, okay, does this possess a conflict of interest with the organization's ethos and my own values? And so I started that. And funny enough, the first person that jumped in to check that page was our CEO. And then, I began to see all of those people in leadership, but that didn't deter me. I continued. Having said that, then the place of then separating what I do on LinkedIn with what I post on other pages where I talk about God. I mean that's just me. I've done that even before I got into the social media, earlier life, and all of that's what I do. So delineating that, because I also see people also try to post Christian things and all of that. Where is the divide on the LinkedIn page? Where do you draw the line? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So you can put your hands down, Dr. Sonia and Bolanle. Generala, I see you, but just hold on. Let him take these questions, then we'll come back to you. The third question you would help us take, Elder Idy, is from Bankole. It says, as a builder who doesn't see the kind of results he's expecting, should he still consider human story? Can he enforce results at all costs? So help us tackle these three questions. Generala, I'll come back to you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let me start from Bankole. You're a builder who doesn't see the kind of results you're expecting. Should I still consider human story? The reality is that, have you done, again, it's always very interesting how well have you asked the question why? Why is it not working? Because when you keep interrogating the whys, you might just find out that just a simple fishbone analysis. Probably know the fishbone analysis. If you don't know, if you like eating fish, just come. If you don't, come, I'll take you to a joint. We'll eat fish and we'll get it to the point where you only see the skeleton. I'm basically saying, have you been able to drill down with the word why, to the point where you then see what could necessarily be the cause and effect? There's always cause and effect. There's also the part about leading and lagging indicators, like your dashboard. Do you have a dashboard that begins to tell you that this is, it's like having a leaking roof, and then it's raining, and all of a sudden you see toy, you ignore it. You ignore it, but I can assure you 3 months' time, that roof is going to go off. So that is the first step. And if you've gone through all of that, and you've gone to the bottom of the cocoa itself, and you found that something is not working, then by all means, you have to pivot. You need to move at some point, and you don't always need to get to the brass tacks before. Now, the human story there, it speaks around the collective. A lot of us get very sentimental. In business, today I was talking to my clients who called me that did, that invited me. And I said to all of them, I said, you guys are highly rated in your industry. You're number 3. You're going almost 3 trillion in terms of your whatever AUM. 100 days from today, I can tell you there should be blood in the water. And then I said that, as a metaphor, saying that the market must feel that you've been able to crush some bones, because if you don't, the piranhas are going to come after you. Now, when you are in business, it is not water that is running in your system, it's blood. So why must you sit back and allow people destroy under the guise of, I just want to be human, and the business is going down? For me, there's no human story there. You need to do what should be done. Now, you can't also then enforce results at all costs, because if you enforce results at all costs, there's always about the how. The 3-letter word HOW, the how. The how the results come is very important, but not as important as moving the last letter, the W, to the front, to who. You need to go back. It's not World Organization. You have to go back and check, do you have square pegs in square holes? So it could also be that the fault lines lie with the who. And it could be that your how is in good space. So it calls for a deep-seated, drilling, if I could say that. Okay, let me go to Sister Sonia. Dr. Sonia, thank you very much for your very kind words. And I'm sorry, you can't find me posting God everywhere. We are different too. It is when you come in contact with me, you know whether I know God or I don't know God. And unikali kuwo moto tie. Me, I'm of the firm opinion that if you want to be an evangelist, be an evangelist. And you must understand where to play and how to play. You cannot listen to me by His grace that I'm running either my radio program, that you will not hear or see me feature my faith and my belief in God. It's impossible, because it's something inside me that burns. What is professional is professional. We give to Caesar what is Caesar. LinkedIn, first of all, is a professional platform. Because when I see a lot of people come there, all glory to God, they want to evangelize, they're in the wrong space. You are ex. It's wasted effort. And I want to step into that point where you talked about conflict. My sister, whenever you take on a role, and to everybody, any position you take on, you must first and foremost lay on the table what you're doing and tell them, is this in conflict with what you're doing? I'll give you practical examples. I am an adjunct faculty at the Lagos Business School. I do lecture at LBS. I continue to lecture. But when they wanted to have the executive in residence, and I think I come here and say, come, the thing you want me to be doing, that's what I do. That's what I do for a living. Chikena. So Is there a conflict? The answer is no. I put it up front. Second example, when I joined L'Oreal, as they signed the contract and they gave to me, I made it clear that corporate shepherds is my own life purpose. And then they now wrote back from Paris that I'm only entitled to have one activity of corporate shepherds in a year. I didn't say anything. I didn't answer them. It took my boss, Jeff Kingsley, who was the next person to the chairman. He had to fly into Nigeria because they didn't understand why I didn't sign the contract. Everything was done. It was just that one clause. Because of that line, you are coming to tell me, invited me to Southern Sun. Idy, why are you not signing the contract? I said for two reasons. Number one, any employment at this level, 2 official cars, one for myself and one for my wife. You people are giving me 1 car, and the car you are giving me is Skoda. You're not serious. Go up to my garage. Even my rep will not drive Skoda. Marietti. Number 2, corporate shepherds. I will do once a year. For that one alone, keep your job. I don't need it. The man stood there. He said, is that all? He said, what car do you want? I said, I want the 4-wheel drive, whichever one. And then I need a nice Honda for my wife. He said, done. He wrote on top of the contract, signed it. Then corporate shepherds, he canceled it and said, sorry, this does not exist. He signed it. He said, well, do whatever you want to do. Why am I saying this? Many a times we chicken out when it's important. When you want to step into anything, let people know who you do, what you do. At a certain stage in your life, it is not what you know that makes you great. It is the people that know what you know. At the same time, what you know may be known to you, but not known to people. So humility is not holding back. And later on, you now decide you want to do it. Okay, they go stop your anointing. But you close. And now you close road, don't be them closer. So if you are now in a place where you're doing stuff and the place you work, go back to the organization and say, guys, this is what my life passion is about, my life purpose. Does it conflict? Where can we work around it? And then you're good. Finally, I think I've answered the other one. There are platforms where you can praise God. If you want to praise God, you can dance every morning on Instagram and post it. Nobody is going to disturb you. Don't go and dance on LinkedIn. Everybody give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar so that the people, your audience, will appreciate what you're doing. You can go to Facebook and dance and join me in prayer. Nobody go put that for LinkedIn. People will just come up from there. I hope that answers it and puts it well for you, my doctor. If not, see me at R&G. At least, myself, I'm rooted and grounded. There she go. Bolanle, my sister. How can we use branding to measure structure and standards? Branding is not a yardstick to measure standards. I'll say to you bluntly. Branding is about identity. Now, can you use branding to cover up a dilapidated building? Yes and no. Yes, you can in the interim, but when people now interact with that entity and see that there's a lot of falsehood, you will lose them immediately. But it cannot be used to measure. It is not for measuring. It is used to establish because it's about image. It's about identity. It helps you bring something to life. So a brand is simply a bundle of benefits. When you now get into branding, you are now going to use something to show the world that this is what I represent. That is what branding is. It is not to measure. So if there are standards, what you need to use will be the metric for that entity to measure it, or velocity as a metric to measure it. But branding, no. You can use branding to cover, okay, let me go here. You're a woman. A 90-year-old woman can come and contour so well. She'll put on a good foundation with powder and then contour, and then she takes a shot. You will know she's 90. That's branding. But by the time you visit her early in the morning, I say, Mama Mfeki, then you will now see the real building itself. So if you look at it from that lens, you'll then understand what I'm trying to tell you, that you can use branding to cover bad behavior. you can cover it with PR by saying this person is this. But the minute that veil, people come through and contact it and they find it's false, the brand loses its essence. And once you lose your essence, dead.
Thank you. Thank you. So I saw one hand up. I think he's done. That's General. But we'll take the last question. Possibly you have actually answered his questions. So the last question before we call it a day is from Dr. Timothy. Yeah, Idiola. It says, in a complex environment and multidimensional world that we operate these days, is it possible to be situational in the archetypes, which means you adopt and become the archetype that works or suitable for a particular situation at a time and change it as the situation demands, like a chameleon?
Dr. Timothy, thank you so very much. Yes, let me answer your question with a pointed answer. You see, like I said before, those 5 archetypes speak to a unique person. You know, you'll find a part of you in all the archetypes, but there's something called the dominant one. Now, when you are dominant in one, then it means that in the other, you're less preferred. So let me answer your question from the standpoint, and I hope you like music. I hope, you know, if you like music, you go to, you probably, in your growing up days, you used to have those little consoles. If you don't, go very close to your choir or to the music room and see where the DJ, the console. Now, what you've said, I want to link it to you and link, first and foremost, situational leadership is what everybody gets confronted with. So there isn't a one size fits all. So I'm sitting here and I tell you I'm a disruptor, doesn't mean that I'm not a builder. If you meet me in my own space where I have to now dial up, now this is the word I'm using, you dial up that particular mode and it becomes, and then in that mode, what you're doing is that your disruptor archetype takes a backstage and I'm dialing up my builder mode. Why? Because of that situation. You are unique and you can afford that flexibility. That's why it's called situational leadership. All right? And then you will find that without you even knowing, you slip back. That's why people slip back to their form and shape. After a while, you know, they say habits, it takes XYZ times for you to form a habit. Why? Because you might decide now you go, give it 2 days, you return back to it. That is the elasticity that happens within the human frame. So the straight answer to your question is that yes, because you have dominant and less dominant ones, if you find yourself in a situation, you can dial up that other one, bring it up and reduce, the other one automatically comes down while this comes up. And then by the time you exhaust that particular situation, you'll find that nature has its own course. You'll retract like an elastic and you come back to where you are into another situation and then you continue. And that's one of the things that emotional intelligence does, and it teaches you to first and foremost be self-aware. Once you are self-aware, you then know how to navigate each of the terrains to give you that optimal, consistent look and feel as a brand from a personal standpoint. All right? I hope that answers it, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope Elder Idy will let us have access to the slides. So that's a question for Elder Idy. so that we can actually digest.
You are 70. If I collect, labor is a mental and physical exactness in the exchange of a reward. So each of you, for each one, because you are a group, I'll give you discount. I won't charge you 10,000 per head. I'll make it 50% discount, 5K times a number. And for the Allisons, their own is 10K because it's per head. It's per head, not per family.
Interesting. That is the businessman in you coming up.
Auntie, I have to pay Nabandea they use now.
Have you? And then our first lady is also here too. So she'll be calculating now that okay, my husband is coming
No,
over from
my
work.
meat must not reduce.
So we want to thank you very
It is
much.
well.
And
With all
I
pleasure.
noticed we had some pastors joining the call, and also some leaders also joining the call. And then we also have guests, joining the call. Thank you so much, everyone who has joined the call. And I believe that we are taking a whole lot. I mean, that we need to chew. I want to believe the recording will be shared, because this is I think it was Ijala who said so, that this is actually a course, a model that you probably have to sit down and listen again, more so that you have given us assignment. So you have no choice. You will give us the slide. You give us assignment now. Waiting happen. Now you give us assignment. We won't do the assignment. So give us the assignment. All
Not a
right. So
problem.
I want to say thank you, Elder Idy, for doing this. I mean, you actually shook the tables, but this time around, you shake them, you rearrange it very well. You arrange
Thank
their
you.
tables very well. So thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank you.
we can only pray that the Lord God will continue, to make you relevant, the assignment he has given you. He will give you the grace, the wisdom, the strength, the network, the resources, to continue making that impact in the mighty name of Jesus. Yes. Thank you very much. I think at this time, I would like to give the mic. Well, there is a physical mic, isn't it? Or an invisible mic, so the ED or more. I will try not to pronounce that name. I will try not to pronounce that name. Make I don't try. They don't send me, so that I can actually bring him on. Yes, and then he can wrap up. Yes. So Omo, would you do us this favor? Because, we have delivered.
Thank
You sent us you sent us on a message, and we have delivered.
yes,
Thank
yes,
you, sir.
yes, you have. Yes, you have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Permit me not to call him Elder ID. Let me call him Dr. Idy Enang. Because really, yes, because this is really, really packed. And I really want to thank you, sir. It was at short notice. I mean, I just called just last week and informed you of this. Of course, I told you, like you said before, that even UOBS is saying that whenever we want to bring you on board, we should bring you to Unilag. That's what they told me. That we at the Citadel, we've seen so much of you that they want to feel you. And that was what I had in mind. And I was just thinking, sometime later in the year, we'll organize such a thing. But the need for this just became obvious after we did our placement exercise. And we called you at short notice and you responded, sir. We're really grateful. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. We
My
say
pleasure.
amen and amen to the prayers that Bukola Femi Ajala has prayed, that you will continue to shine, sir, as that star that you already are. And you've actually sparked up certain thoughts on my mind that are disruptive. And interestingly, we are in the process of shaping the future of the program, and we will be doing certain things. Some of them are going to be disruptive in nature, and I thank you for stirring that up. And what some of those things, the implication, what they imply is that we will come to you at some point. We will come to you, and we would want you to come back. And I know that you would oblige us, sir. Thank you so much. And there's so much that Elder ID really carries, and even the bio that was read did not do justice to all because he's actually in governance. I know that he's involved in a judicial panel. I know that he is doing something for a local government area. We are going to call him to come and use that as a case study to teach at the Citadel School of Government at some point. We've been discussing it in the school, And when the time comes, sir, we will come to you. And so thank you so much, sir. And for Mrs. Ajela, we're so grateful to you. You've done a perfect job. We are not surprised. You are, in fact, the two persons that we have on the call today, the guest speaker and the moderator, they are media personalities. And so it's not surprising at all. Thank you so much. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you. We are privileged to have you as a pioneer participant at the Citadel School of Government. So thanks to all the participants, to all the guests that came around, to all the staff of the Citadel School of Government. I'm really grateful to you, Fatima, Clementina, Hero Akban, Abimbola, Eunice, Onyechi. Thank you so much for all that you've done. And we will call it a day here. Thank you so much till we have the next webinar. Thank you, sir, once again. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Susu, for coming to support Dr. Idy. Thank you. We're really grateful to you.
Oh, I'll come for my certificate or more. Thank you, everyone. God bless you all. Good night and God bless.
Thank you.